So what do you think's going to happen if I plus the same variable 3 times in one line? And then I do it again. Take a close look at this Java code and tell me which one of these you think will happen. I'll tell you which one doesn't happen in 3, 2, 1. So it's not going to be choice E. This will compile, it will run, but what actual numbers are we going to see? So let's focus in on these 3 lines. This is the interesting part. So in Java, doing a bunch of increments on one line is actually well defined. It's a bad idea because it's weird and hard to read, but Java has a clear rule here. We evaluate these increments from left to right. So starting here, what I've got is prefix increment, plus A. When I say prefix, that just means that the plus is before the name of the variable. And what this means is that I'm going to add 1 and use the value after I've added 1 to plug into this expression. So I use the value that has already been incremented. So I'm just going to clear out a little space here to show you the math. And remember that A starts at 5. So I'll add 1 to that, I'll get 6, and I'll plug in the value of 6 into that expression to do the math. So we'll move on to this middle increment. And I don't do the normal addition for now because plus has higher precedence than just normal addition. But this is still prefix increment. So I add 1, I get 7, and then I plug in the value that has been incremented to do the math. Moving on to the end, this is plus A again, still prefix increment, still the same thing. Add 1 to get 8, and then plug that in to do the math. So now I've got 6 plus 7 plus 8. We evaluated all the higher precedence plus operators, and now we're ready for normal addition. So what is 6 plus 7 plus 8? Yeah, it's 21. And now I evaluate this equal sign, which just means store that value of 21 into the variable j. So j is going to equal 21. So let's move on to this second line of increments. And I want to ask you, what's the key difference here? Yes, we're starting with a higher initial value for a, but what else is different on this line? So this is going to be suffix increment, not prefix. It's a plus rather than plus a. So for us, when we do the math on this line, what does that mean? It means that we can treat this as if we take the value, we plug it in, and then we add 1. Now that's not quite what really happens. I actually have a different, longer video you can check out if you want to know what actually happens when we do a or I or whatever plus. But for us to get this question right, we can kind of take a simpler view, which is we take the original value, plug it in, and then add 1 to the variable. So here's the math. I'm going to plug in the value of 8 that I had before I did the increment. Then I'll do the increment, then I'll move to the next a++. And this is still suffix increment, so I do the same thing. I plug in that value, which is now 9, and then I do the plus, adding 1. So then I move to this rightmost a++. Same thing, I plug in the value of 10, and then I add 1 to the variable. And we're finished with those higher precedence plus operators, so now it's just normal addition. And I'll ask you, what is 8 plus 9 plus 10? Right, it's 27. Then I evaluate that equal sign and I write 27 into the variable a, removing that 11 forever. So for the final result, I've got j equals 21 and a equals 27. Here's your answer, and here's a link to that longer video about this topic that I mentioned. I want to thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day.